Hi guys, I'm so excited to welcome you to this live today. You're going to be hearing from the incredible Diane Bullock, who has recently just launched a business. She is a Path to Purpose alum, and she's going to be talking to you about her entire journey from where she was to where she is now, which is a budding entrepreneur. I'm so excited for her, and I'm so excited for all of you to hear her story. She should be on in just a minute, and there she is. Hi, Diane. If you want to just request to join, and we'll get you right in here. Yay. Okay. Let's get her in. I think the internet will work for us. I always have to do like a little internet prayer on my lives because it doesn't always want to work. Hi, Diane!
Hi!
This is your first live, isn't it?
Yes, I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, of course. And I'm loving the background. That plant looks beautiful. The macrame it just looks so zen in there.
Yeah, I remembered you had said that you enjoyed decorating your place because I think I'm in the same boat, because after traveling for so long, it's amazing to have a place where I can actually pick my own things and put up my own decorations and, you know, just wow. Like I got to hang a picture.
I know. And for anybody who's watching, Diane also is a huge traveler, and she's traveled all over the world, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But yeah, Diane, I feel like when this is the first apartment, I'm 32 years old, this is the first apartment I've ever actually decorated. Every other apartment I've had paintings like sitting on the ground because I was too lazy to actually put them up, because I didn't think that any of my houses were ever going to be permanent. So yeah, I totally get it. Okay, yay. Well, let's jump in. So I'm going to just kind of ask you some questions so we can get started. And then we'll obviously spend some time diving into the exciting opportunity you have for people coming up. So let's kick off with your backstory. So can you just tell us a little bit about where you were before Path to Purpose, and like what particularly were you struggling with?
So I think that, I mean, obviously I was in the same boat as a lot of people. I had lost my job in March, and it was honestly just kind of like, what's next and what do I do? But it was a little bit more than that, because I had a lot of different roles in my background and worked with a lot of different departments. And so I really just had like so many ideas about what I could do. You know, and so I was literally like I applied to a sales job. I applied as an operations manager. You know, I was just kind of all over the map trying to figure out like, what is it that I actually want to do, and you know, who do I want to be, essentially. And so I think, you know, that's where I was. And I don't know if we're going to get into it later, but I also kind of had this feeling in my gut that I wanted to start my own thing. And I think that was part of why I was just kind of wandering, because nothing felt quite right. But I wasn't, you know, it was like this inkling in the back of my mind, like, hey, I want to start my own thing. And I was writing down ideas, but I was too, you know, it just didn't seem like a real thing, you know, that I could actually do it.
Yes, we'll definitely get into all of that, because I know there's lots of people who follow me who have that baby seed of an idea, of a business idea, and haven't taken that leap yet. So we'll definitely get into that story. But just to kind of highlight and kind of repeat back a little bit. So it sounds like where you had just gotten laid off, with which obviously so many people this year have. I did 2 years ago. It's my anniversary of 2 years of getting laid off. I say now it's a rite of passage for being an adult. But so it sounds like you really kind of found yourself with this open field of opportunities, and you were really trying to think about, okay, well, what do I want to do? And you specifically said, who do I want to be?
Yeah.
It sounds like this was different than just like, oh, I got to find a new job. Can you just clarify a little bit about why it wasn't just about getting the next job? It was so much more than that for you?
Yeah. So actually, so one of the things that really stood out to me was this idea of purpose. And that is an idea that I had actually been asking myself for, I want to say, at least 2 years. Like what is my purpose? It's not just a job. It's way more than that. It's like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? How am I giving back? How am I helping people? What is it that's getting me up in the morning? And so that's what really stood out to me. And it's funny because I had read books and looked at different things, and I just wasn't finding anything that could really answer that question. And of course I'm looking, like outside, right? Like somebody just tell me what my purpose is. You tell me. I don't know. Um, but not knowing how to find it within myself. It's like there has to be a book or something. And I just wasn't getting there. And so that's really what attracted me to work with you, Emily, was like, maybe I can, it's like, help me out here.
Totally, totally. Okay, so we're gonna get into the path purpose journey in just a second, but can you tell us a little bit about, like, where were you looking? Like you said, you were reading books and looking outside yourself for this answer to, like, what is my purpose? Can you tell us a little bit more about, like, what did you try? Where were you looking? And obviously to not, to no result, but tell us a little bit about that.
I think honestly, I had kind of like, just gotten self-help books, and off the top of my head, I can't really, think of which, but it's like one of those where it's like you start a book and then you don't even finish it, and then you're like, oh, well, let me try this other one, and you just read, and so you just stack books that are half read and not really, and then reading articles online, let me Google. Or just trying to find the answers, within myself, but not knowing how, or not knowing what questions to ask. Or like, I like to journal, so I had done a lot of journaling, but I was kind of stuck in the same narrative. And so I didn't know, kind of how to move forward.
Do you remember what the narrative was that you were stuck in? I think that's really common, by the way, that sometimes what happens is, like, we know we want to find the thing, right? The answer to what our purpose is. And we do this, like, sort of self-help book thing and we journal on it, but we're, as you said, like, we get stuck in it. Do you remember what it was, what you were stuck in?
It's hard to say exactly, but what I do remember is that I would think a certain way, and then you would ask me a question, and I would just be like, wait, what? And I just never like thought of that, or I never like, and it was almost like I needed somebody outside of myself who knew me and was actually, talking to me in more than just a book, that could listen to my story and be like, well, what about this? And have you thought about that? And to just provide another perspective so that I could stop and go, oh, okay. Like, so.
So we jumped ahead a little bit. Can you tell us briefly what made you, so it sounds like you were looking for the answers outside of yourself, reading a bunch of books on your own, really trying to get the answer to what's my purpose. What made you take the leap to decide to get some help and to join the program?
So I think what made me take the leap is I had just interviewed for a job, and I had gotten an offer, and I actually had looked at that job, but in my gut it just didn't feel right, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm here and I should be happy about this, but I'm not, and something's missing, and something's not, something's just not quite right here. And so that's when I knew, like, what, I need to do something else.
So sort of that moment where you were like, okay, but I got the job, right? Like the job itself is like, There's something still missing, right? And so it sounds like that was kind of your turning point, your breaking point. And then particularly was it, how did you found out about the program through Remote Year, right?
Yeah, you had done a career camp. And
Yeah.
so I went to career camp.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, did you have like an aha moment in the program?
Yes, my biggest aha moment was, which actually absolutely shocked me, was I've always been a high achiever. I've always, I've won awards in every company that I've worked for. I've always just been like, go, go, go. And I'm always, in like, I have to prove myself and I have to impress everybody and I have to like, be at the top. And what I realized was the reason, none of that is a bad thing, but what really came down to is I was undervaluing myself, and then that's why I felt like I had to prove my worth, because within myself, I ultimately did not, like, I wasn't appreciating my own worth. And that was like, whoa, like I just had never realized that. And I think that really changed everything for me,
Mm-hmm. How did that happen? Like, what part of the program unlocked that for you?
We did something called limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went through and we started to think about like, what is it that, and I'm probably not explaining this exactly right, but what is it that we believe about ourselves? And we even kind of went through like from childhood, to adulthood to all the way now, like what are those things that kind of permeate us that we don't really think about because they've just kind of become part of our life and part of our story. And it was the first time I'd really kind of reflected on that in a deep way and kind of went through that and wrote about it and whatnot. And then at the end of that exercise, it was like, do you notice any themes? And the theme that I noticed, was just like I had been telling you, was I had always felt the need, like I have to prove myself. I have to be at the top. And it was like, well, why is that? And so that's how it came about.
And what did that unlock for you?
Honestly, it was huge because it made me realize that I don't need to keep striving to get there. I'm there now. Like I have skills and I have abilities and I have so much knowledge that I want to share with people, and that's something that I can do now. I don't need to keep, trying to get to the next level. I'm at the level. Like I'm worthy and good enough, and I'm ready to do this now.
And like, how freaking powerful to realize like, oh, I don't need another job or more education or more experience or more anything. Like actually where I am right now is enough.
Yes, exactly. And you hear that as a slogan, I am enough, but for the first time, it actually like clicked and sunk in and really meant something.
So tell us about your business that you've launched.
Yes. So my business is called Strategy Exposed. And the reason that I called it that is because I've heard so many stories from people that have started out their job and they've loved it. And then eventually they end up kind of overworked and underappreciated, and they don't know what happened. And what happened that I like to kind of say is that they crossed a tipping point. And so what I want to do is I want to help people recognize, where is that tipping point? How do I see it coming? How do I prevent it? How do I come back from it if I've already crossed it? And so that's kind of one issue. And then the other one is to really empower people to take control of their own journey, in the sense that there's this thing that I call managing your manager, mm-hmm. where you can set deadlines that give you freedom and flexibility and really kind of take control of that situation while still providing, that reliability that the job will get done. And also taking your own career trajectory. So, and being proactive about where do I want to go with my career rather than waiting for my manager or someone else to tell me, what I can do. Being proactive about saying, this is my trajectory and where I want to go.
Gosh, I mean, I have a few more questions here, but like, it's so important. And I think it's something that just is, it's so subtle too, right? Like when you have a manager, right? The idea is that your manager is supposed to manage you, right? That's what you think. Your boss is supposed to be the person who tells you what to do, who gives you the structure, like, et cetera, et cetera. But actually, most managers, first of all, are not trained actually how to be great managers, right? They're not trained on how to be great leaders. They don't actually know how to be a great manager. Right?
Yes.
And they're just humans. So they have their own shit going on in their world, and their number one is themselves, which it should be, right? And so with this subtle shift of seeing your manager not as somebody who's responsible for you, but actually as somebody who's a tool for you to leverage and learn from and honestly use, not in a bad way, but use, right? Like then it completely shifts the dynamic, and it gives you the power to leverage a human who can really support your journey and help your journey. And I just think it's so subtle, but wildly powerful. And I think you're just going to do an incredible job helping people shift that, because what you said is it takes strategy to actually do that. So it's one thing to understand what that actually means, right? It's another thing to actually learn how to, as you say, manage your manager. So I'm so excited. Can you tell us a little bit about why that, like what inspired you from your own life to create this specific type of programming, this specific type of coaching?
So I think, so earlier I had talked about the tipping point, and so me being a high achiever, I have had, that situation where, I was getting awards, I was getting accolades, and it just felt like the harder I worked and the more I did, the more my company took me for granted. And so, we have this curve that I like to call, there's gratitude on one end and then there's for granted on the other end. And we're all kind of like running along on this curve. And, so I crossed that tipping point, and it was just like, it was one of those things that nobody explained to me that this was going to happen. Nobody explained to me what to do when it does happen or how to prevent it. And I really ended up having health issues and stress, and just, just so many things where it affected my whole entire life, actually, where I would just come home and even be kind of depressed, and just like, what am I doing wrong? Why is this happening? And it was because of that I learned so much. And I love, one of the things that you mentioned in your program is how are the traumatic things that happen to us, how are those there to serve us? And what can we take from them and what can we learn from them? And I learned so much from that experience because I came back from that. And it was in the process of coming back from that I learned what are the strategies and the techniques to prevent that from happening. And I wouldn't have learned that any other way. And I feel like, but it was like, why does nobody teach this? There wasn't a book for it. There wasn't a university class for it. And it really kind of hit me out of the blue. And so I started this business because I want to teach other people not to have to go through that trauma and to not have to spend, because I've been working for 20 years now, so this is like 20 years of my life and my experiences. And it's like, I want people to not have to spend 20 years to figure out what I figured out and to just have these strategies and, what I call kind of the secrets of how to manage this stuff so that you don't have to be having health issues and emotional, anxiety and not sleeping at night, because honestly, work should be energizing. It should be fun. You should want to get up in the morning and go to work. And if you have the right tools, it can be that way for you.
Totally. Okay, I love that so much. Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you had this big aha moment of, wait a second, I'm enough and I'm ready and I have everything I need to go launch this business. Can you tell us a little bit about just how that shit, like when you think back to where you were before the program, before career camp, like did you feel ready to launch a business back then?
No. So before career camp, I did not feel ready. And again, I was kind of questioning, like, why didn't this last job, I had gone through the interview process, I had gotten the job, what was off here? But it was funny because it was like this dual thing happening, because at the same time I had a spreadsheet where I would just keep ideas of like, this is what I could possibly do for a business,
Yeah.
and I was like keeping these little notes and these little things and all of that. But at the same time, I just did not have that confidence to feel like I was ready to start my own business. And so it was like this internal, conflict that, you talk about being able to kind of feel those emotions in your body. And, I could feel them in my gut that, it was like my body's way of telling me I wanted to start a business, but it's like I needed to go through the program in order for my mind to finally listen to that.
Oh, I love that so much. Tell us more. Tell us how the program actually got you from feeling like you knew you wanted to start it, but you felt like not ready and you were really struggling with it. And it really was this internal conflict to launching.
Yeah. So I think, so the first module, I think it's called like self-healing or self-connection. And basically what it is it's like a spring cleaning, right? It's just getting rid of all of those limiting beliefs, realizing that I was worthy and ready to do this. And it was just like very intense, actually.
It is.
But it was great. And I couldn't think of, like, I honestly think having the pandemic and having the time to just sit and reflect for literally, all of these weeks has honestly just been a blessing, because I had never really taken that time to just have that quiet and to just really, sit in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first step, was just getting rid of all of those limiting beliefs and cleaning out the closet, as it were. And then we started to move on to the next area, which was imagining the possibilities, right? And so now you're like, how would I create my life? How do I want to define the rules for my life? And as I did that, and I went back through this list that I had been keeping, for a while now, I really started to develop that. And there was one idea that really kind of popped out to me, which was, this idea of empowering other people in their career journey. And so I really started to kind of dig into that and develop it and figure out, like, what could I do with that and where could it go, and to really allow myself to dream about that and to really kind of, bring it to life, as it were.
Isn't it crazy how so often we just don't even let ourselves really dream? Like we block ourselves from even going there. Like you write the idea down and like we all have our list before we actually start the business. It's like we block ourselves from having these big dreams. And it sounds like the program at least opened up some space for you to really just like let yourself go there.
Yes. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. But yeah, it's like I needed to clear out the closet to get to the dream. And then once I got to the dream, it was like I could feel, like, again, just super energized. And it was like I came awake and I felt alive. And I remember, waking up in the middle of the night and I would just have all of these ideas where I was like, I have to write this down. And I would get up and like just, whoa. And, and it was like, who are you? So yeah, and it was just fun because I hadn't had, kind of felt that spark, in a while. I almost felt like, you're kind of, hibernating for the winter with all of these lockdowns and everything. And so then to have like the spark of life and creativity and really, like you said, dreaming and allowing myself to go there was just wonderful.
I love it. Tell us a little bit about like how actually, let's move into where you are now. So for anybody who's just hopping on, Diane started Path to Purpose in a place where she was feeling, she'd gotten laid off. She wasn't really sure what she wanted to do, or in her words, who she wanted to be. You, Diane, were really trying to also figure out your purpose. Like you knew it wasn't just about a job anymore. You knew you wanted to find your purpose. You were looking externally outside yourself, and you didn't know how to look internally. And it sounds like you probably didn't even really know that that's what you needed to do, right? Was like to go internally. So you go through this journey and you unlock really some limiting beliefs about what was possible and about really you being able to just be enough, right? And that actually you have 20 years of incredible experience and expertise that you are more than ready to give people. And that's what inspired you to start your business, Strategy Exposed. So tell us now, I know you've got a workshop series coming up, which I want you to talk to us about, but can you tell us also, like, who's the dream client of yours? Like, is it a woman? How old is she? Where is she working? What's she doing? What's she feeling? Tell us a little bit about your dream client first. Who should be paying attention to this?
So my dream client is, it's not gender specific. I actually think a lot of men need my program, to be honest with you. So it's really anybody who is tired of feeling out of control in their career, who wants to be proactive, who wants to be able to plan their own career trajectory, who wants to stop feeling overworked, underappreciated, and who really wants to, as we were talking earlier, have that concept of managing your manager, managing your career, getting the freedom and flexibility so that you can live the life that you want to live, while still being successful, wherever you work. So I just, and anybody who is already kind of feeling overworked, I would love to bring you back from that too, as well. So that is my ideal audience. People who are just like tired of being out of control, and you're ready to really take charge of your career and really, have your own path that you create.
Awesome. And tell us about your workshop series that you have coming up.
So my workshop series, so I thought about, like, what is the first thing that I want to start with? And when I thought about the career journey, I wanted to get everything from getting the interview all the way to how to have a good exit strategy. So how to get the interview, how to get promoted, how to have a good exit strategy. And so I thought, okay, we've got to start at the beginning. There is a lot of people who are out of work, probably more than ever in history. And one of the things that I learned, throughout my own personal journey is that I'm very good at getting interviews. That was something that I did not have a problem with. I've actually, learned years ago, how do you reach out to companies? How do you actually get them to respond and call you back? How do you go into the interview, what to say, how to say it? So I decided to create a workshop called Job Search Exposed. And basically what that is I'm going to tell you all of my techniques and strategies for how to do that, how to talk to a real person at a real company, sometimes even without sending a resume. So I've gotten through job interviews without even sending a resume, just getting people on the phone and saying, hey, let's talk. And that's how you find about jobs that aren't even listed. So 70% of jobs aren't even listed. And really, how do you get noticed from the pack, and how do you really, get to a place where you're empowered even in your entry and how you start with your company?
One of the lines I've been playing with for new messaging is the resume is dead.
Yes, exactly. Because there's too many, and managers don't have time to read them. And so really, it's all about networking. And I think a lot of people know that, but they don't know how to really do it. And so I focus a lot on the mindset behind it, there's nothing to be afraid of about it. It's actually pretty fun, to talk to people and figure out what they need help with.
Yeah, totally.
So my workshop is December 15th, 16th, and 17th. And it's still open for everyone to register. You can go to strategy.exposed is my website, and I would love to have more people so we can talk about all that.
Yay. So anybody who's job hunting right now who wants to flip the job search process on its head and do it in a way more fun way, Diane is here to help you do that. I mean, the truth, everything she's just said, like, I have to just validate a tenfold. Like, I just so believe that, like, screw the resume, figure out how to get your foot in the door, have fun with it, connect with people. She's going to teach you how to actually do that. Knowing what to do, so different than actually knowing how to do it. And in her workshop series, she's going to teach you how to do it, and she's going to teach you how to do it in a way that feels totally empowering. So head to her website, strategy.exposed, to sign up. Anything else you want to share, Diane, about either Strategy Exposed or your experience with Path to Purpose?
No, I think I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to help people. I'm planning way more workshops in the future as I get this going. And I would just love it to help people, because that's really what it's about. That's really why I started.
Let's end with, do you have your purpose statement off the top of your head, or just tell us a little bit about how this is letting you fulfill your purpose? How is your business in alignment with your purpose?
So the purpose statement that I created was that I am an inspirational storyteller that helps people through the power of community. And for me, that has always been so true throughout my career, whether it was project management or sales or putting together marketing strategies or whatever it was. I've always been a storyteller, and I've always just loved community and connection and bringing people together. And I really feel like this business fits in with that perfectly. And it was so like, to have that statement, even that was like, oh, like, wow, because I could never put it into words. And now it's like, okay, I have a statement. It's very simple and yet amazing, because it encompasses so much within that one sentence. And it really just really, fits with me. So thank you.
Oh my God, of course. And no matter what direction your business goes, right now you have this guiding light, this North Star, that's going to help you continue to have an impact on people by sharing your stories and creating community and doing all the things that you do best. Well, Diane, thank you so much for being on here. I'm so glad that we got the chance to hear your story. And I know I'm sure it resonated with so many people, because I know so many of us feel like we need more time, more education, more experience, more whatever, before we feel ready to start our business, or even just take the next step, whether it's a promotion or whatever it is. And I think what you just shared is a beautiful journey of really finding the truth, which is that you are enough and you have everything you need to chase those dreams. So thanks, Diane. I'm so happy you're here. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.